Welcome to the Fireside Chat for Fitness and Nutrition with Adrienne and Ken. Today we're going to be talking about how often to eat treats and how often to exercise. I'm really curious, Ken, how often should we be exercising?
That is a very good question, Adrienne. Let me answer that for you. So it depends on what area or it depends on if you're just starting a routine. And we're talking about strength training routine specifically. We'll get into aerobics and stretching and all that stuff in just a second. But strength training we'll talk about first. And if you're just starting a strength training routine, or if you're changing a routine, you should probably do it. It would be 3 times in 2 weeks. So it would be, for instance, let's just say you're doing a new strength training routine and it's a split routine. It's a split routine. You're going to do it. No, it's not a split. You're just starting because you don't want to start. If you haven't done anything, you don't want to do a split routine. What we mean by split is doing upper and lower body on different days. If you're just starting, you want to do the whole body. And what we've covered in one of the prior podcasts is you want to do 7 movements. Make sure you do 7 movements, in at least twice a week, which includes squat, a lunge, a deadlift or hip hinge, a pushing motion, a pulling motion, a plank, and a twisting motion. So you want to do those. So if you're just starting out, you want to do it. The first 2 weeks would look like this: Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, and then Monday and Friday the first week, and then Wednesday of the second week.
Okay.
So because when you're first starting out a strength training routine, it can take 5 to 7 days for you not to be sore. Again, after the first, after the first session. So, and you don't really want to work out. You won't be able to work out as much as you were able to the first time because your body's telling you, hey, we tore a lot of muscle tissue down. We're still not done repairing it. We're still not done. So if you're just starting out something, that's the kind of, for at least the first couple of weeks, that's the kind of routine that you want to do. That's the kind of session or the frequency that you want to do. Now, once the first couple 2 to 3 to 4 weeks are done, you can do a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
And again, this is strength training, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And you're working the whole body on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You're taking 48 hours in between each session.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're, let's say, for instance, 6 to 12 weeks after that, so that's initial. The initial one was a couple of weeks. Then 6 to 12 weeks after that, you're including this 3 times a week. If you want to see further improvements, then you're going to have to start doing what's called a split routine, where you work out at least 4 days a week. So for instance, you would work upper body on Monday and Thursday, and then lower body on Tuesday and Friday. So that would be a split routine. So that's 4 days a week, and you can do 6 days a week. You could do, upper body could be, or chest and shoulders and triceps could be on Monday and Thursday. Back and biceps can be on Tuesday and Friday, and legs, which includes, legs, buttocks, hamstrings, adductors, abductors, quadriceps, calves can be on Wednesday and Saturday. So that's another split routine. Yeah. You always want to, if you're strength training, you always want to take a day off, no matter what kind of training you're doing. If you're up to 6 days a week, you want to take that 7th day off, just give your body a rest. And so for strength training, that's fine. That's more than fine. You'll see a lot of benefit in hypertrophy or muscle size, if that's what you're training for, strength, endurance. So and all those things will improve if you're doing it that often in between. And the minimum, say for instance, you are an advanced exerciser, or you're an established exerciser. Twice a week is the minimum in order to maintain your muscle mass or your body composition. At least the minimum of twice a week. If you want to make improvements, if you're an experienced exerciser, 3 to 4 times a week is how often you should train. How often you should train. I hope I'm not confusing people by saying that. That's not confusing. But But that's strength training because your muscles need time to recover. Aerobic activity. Aerobic activity is something that your body can do that is not exhausting. That's not, well, when I say that is, it doesn't go to what's called temporary muscular failure. So, and then because there's two different types of muscle groups that are trained. Type 1 is endurance training, then they can go forever. They can just go and go and go. Muscle, your body has generally two different types of muscle, of skeletal muscle types. Type 1, which is endurance. Again, you can go like jogging, walking, bicycling. You do it for a long period of time. It's good for, really good for your heart. It gets the blood pumping and circulating. It's really good for high blood pressure, for to reduce high blood pressure, for diabetes, for heart disease, for cholesterol reduction. So it's really good for that specific for your health of your body. Strength training is good for the skeletal muscles, which helps bone density. It helps in movement, especially as we age. You want to be able to be strong so that you don't fall. If you catch your foot on something, you'll catch yourself because you're strong. You won't just fall. So there's that. Let's talk about flexibility and mobility. So flexibility and mobility is the ability to go through a range of motion. Mobility is this. Okay, that's mobility. See how high I can go with that? Mm-hmm. Flexibility is this. I can go back further, but I can use something else as an aid. That's flexibility. Flexibility and mobility may not be the same, but that's important because you want to be able to go through a large range of motion, especially as we get older. Because let's say, for instance, if you trip, you want to be able to put that foot out very quickly in order to catch yourself. And if you don't have a lot of flexibility, you're not going to do it. You're not going to be able to do it, and you'll fall. I know I'm using the falling thing, as an example, but it's a real problem for older people, especially if they're not flexible and they're not strong. So that's kind of an important thing. So training at least twice a week, at least minimum. Endurance training 5 to 6 days a week. Mobility and flexibility training every day. And that doesn't take very long at all. 10, 15 minutes at the most. Endurance training would be at least 20 minutes every day, at least 20 minutes every day. As a matter of fact, it probably should be 30 minutes, really. It's anywhere from 150 to 300 minutes per week. 150 to 300 minutes per week. That's moderate. High intensity endurance training, which would be low intensity would be walking, would be bicycling at it, just to keep your body moving and your heart rate elevated. That's 150 to 300. High intensity, which is jogging, bicycling at a really intense pace, that would be 75 to 150 minutes a week. So not quite as much, but your heart rate is higher for a longer period of time. Yeah. So or not for higher, but shorter period of time, but higher. That's what I meant to say. And I think I've covered everything. So flexibility, mobility, endurance, and strength training. So you do all that and you're good. So, I know it seems like a lot
to consider, actually. And I know some of our audience is like, I haven't even started with a workout routine, and just even hearing the strength training recommendations, super helpful. And then there are more advanced people who are like, I think I'm ready to do splits, like, 6 days a week, and I'm going to do chest and calves this day. So I think you've covered everything from even just that perspective. I was really curious, though, not really curious, but I was excited to find out that balance not only comes from strength, which is important, especially as you mentioned, as we get older, but also that flexibility piece. And I would say that that's even important for the younger crowd. Because I told people, like, hey, you can do CrossFit all day, but if you don't have any, you can have all that strength, but if your ankle starts to, twist as you're coming off of a curb because you're not flexible, guess what? You're going to be out of commission from doing more CrossFit,
right?
For example. So it's all
right. Yeah, and CrossFit. Talking about CrossFit is you need to train for endurance and strength at the same time, because if you don't, because typically they'll have a competition where how many deadlifts plus presses can I I don't know what they're called, but I've seen them. How many can I perform in a minute? Or how many can I perform before I totally exhaust? Well, if you're doing it, it's easy to do the first 4 or 5, but when you get up to 25 and 30, if you're not flexible, if you don't have core strength and endurance plus strength, you might injure yourself. So there's that.
Oh, good.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm done.
I was going to say, I feel like it's the same thing with martial arts, though, because there's a difference between the power of trying to punch somebody out, for example, but you also have to be able to fight for a decent amount of time. And that's the endurance piece, right?
That's true. Pap. Okay, I'm done. I just want to hit. Yeah, I'm done. I hit you as hard as I could. I'm done. So no, but you have to. Yes, that's correct. So you have to try. So there's a couple of things that you have to do, and you can train. There is, just because you don't do 5 or 6 days of jogging, let's just say, and you can get your aerobics in any way that you can, just so long as you keep your heart rate up. Boxing, you could spar, and that's a good cardiovascular workout, and that's just another example of cardio. So you don't have to do, you can do dancing. Dancing is a great form of cardio, and I don't want to make it boring. You have to go out and walk. I don't think walking is boring, but some people do. Some people think biking or riding a bicycle outside or walking is boring. But you choose things that you enjoy doing. And I know, like we talked about before, that this is a lot to take in, especially if you're just starting. But if you're just make a couple of changes, just go walking for 5 minutes, and then start to build up every day. Add another minute every day, or go down to the end of the block and then go past the end of the block the next day. You just do something. It's a whole heck of a lot better than nothing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I always tell people, like, if smokers can take smoke breaks, you can take a health break at work too.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Go for a walk, it's allowed.
I like that. I like that.
And I also love that you mentioned, split routines, because we just got like a Smith machine. And there's the temptation to just do the same things all the time. But after having talked with you and all these different podcasts, I know I need rest days, or to do a chest press maybe every other day versus every day, because that's not really going to help, right? So yeah, everybody can take something from this podcast with regards to that. And then we're also going to talk about how often should we be incorporating things like treats, alcohol, dining out, or even like fruit. I mean, all of this will also impact our endurance with working out, and how healthy we feel, and the energy that we might have to even do some of these split days, or get off the couch and go for a 90-minute walk or a dance party. So these are going to be some guidelines. And again, I have 7 of these. Treats. I get asked mostly about this one. And so I would say, moderation. But what does moderation mean? For some people, having a cup of ice cream every evening is moderation. And so we might want to play around with the portion sizes around that, or the frequency around that. But even if you can go lower than what you're doing now, that's still better. I would say in general, though, it's a good aim to enjoy your treats maybe like once or twice a week. And I would say twice, really, because a lot of times we're in that diet mentality of starting Monday perfectly, Tuesday, crap, I can't even eat anything fun until Friday. There's a temptation to kind of go off the rails, before Friday even comes, and then give up the baby with the bathwater kind of situation. So sometimes it's nice to have a Wednesday treat and a Saturday treat. That's my personal favorite too, because then it's not so long till you can have a little treat, and then you keep going with your mostly good diet, and then have another little fun treat, keep going. So you consider giving that a try. But again, if you're eating treats every day, maybe we just need to either cut down the portion size or try to go every other day. Or now here's another one. If you have something sweet after every meal, that's 3 treats in a day. Maybe we go to 1 or 2. So there are lots of different ways to consider what moderation might be for you.
Sure.
And then this is kind of a mindfulness piece too. A lot of times, where we look forward to these treats, but then what do? We're eating them in front of the TV, or like watching a movie, and we're not actually really enjoying it. It's just kind of a passing pleasure, essentially. So I would say take time, maybe savor that piece of dark chocolate, or pay attention to portion sizes in general, but again, enjoy the treat food that you're having instead of just treating it like a task. Number 2 is eating out. I would say,
Yeah.
of course, eating out can be a really fun and pleasurable experience, and it should be balanced out with like your home cooked, mostly good meals. I find that clients have 1 or 2 different personality types. We'll say some are like, I'm eating out, it's party time, or whatever I want, which is fine because that might be like 1 of your 21 meals, right? Balance. And for other people who are like, yeah, I still want to like do well, then you can also go out to eat and still try to make the best decision possible. It will probably still not be perfect, but that doesn't really matter because we're not going for perfection. I would consider portion sizes here because a lot of our plate sizes and because of our value-based thinking as Americans, restaurants tend to give us more food than we actually need to eat. So you might want to ask for a to-go box and maybe take half of it home. You might want to also consider sharing an entree or a dessert with somebody so that you're having less automatically, but you're still enjoying your food and your experience out. Alcohol. This is a tricky one. Just because beer is made with water does not mean it's hydrating. It's not healthy.
Oh, snap. Oh, no.
I
Okay.
know, burst everybody's bubble. Here's the thing with alcohol. If you're gonna drink any, I would just be very careful about how much you're getting. And so like, listen to me when I say this means having up to a drink per day, not at least 1 drink a day for women, and up to 2 drinks per day for men. Drinking is not healthy. I know that in like the 90s and the early 2000s, people were like, well, there's resveratrol in wine, so it's like heart healthy. You can get resveratrol in other sources, and no, alcohol is a toxin for the system. So sorry, everybody, but it's true. So if you are going to imbibe and you really enjoy, having beer or liquor, etc., you can just be careful about how much you're having in any given sitting, and also its calorie content, because there is definitely a difference between rum and Coke or having a vodka with tonic and a lemon in terms of calorie counts, for example.
Sure.
You might also want to consider a lighter beer. IPAs tend to have a lot of calories, so you may not want to have like 3 of those. You might want to have less and also maybe more light beers. Wine spritzers could be another option too. So those are some things to consider. And then with apples or fruit, people will ask like, how much fruit is too much? But I would say too much fruit is not a problem in for most of America.
We don't
It's
eat
not
as
the
much.
number one
We don't
health
eat
issue.
anything. Yeah.
And fruit can be definitely part of a healthy diet. I would say that you would get things like vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants from them. There is a decent amount of sugar. So even though it's like fructose, too much fructose can cause fatty liver disease, for example. It can contribute to it. You don't want to have too much of it. So it's all about portion sizes again. And as we talked about in a previous podcast, you might want to go to, let's say, myplate.gov, just to kind of type in your individual information about how much you weigh, your age, etc. And it will say, as part of these calories, X number of calories, we would suggest 3 to 5 servings of fruit. And then you can read about what servings of fruit are and then make a choice from there. So again, that's the key. Unless you're trying to be a fruitarian, you definitely want to just have a reasonable amount and not eat a ton of fruit and think that that's a great thing. And I know there's a diet that has been out there that made fruit a free food. And so a lot of people were focusing a lot on fruit. So yeah, okay. Number 5 is frequency of eating. The frequency of your meals and your snacks varies based on individual preferences. Maybe you are doing workouts, other lifestyle factors, like where you might need to have a snack instead of a meal sometimes, because that's just you're traveling, etc. I would say in general, try to plan for eating your 3 meals, but if you do want a snack, just to kind of help prevent excessive hunger or to maintain your energy levels, maybe you incorporate 1 or 2 snacks. I would not have like 3 snacks and 3 meals a day. So just consider what works for you. And then, of course, balance and moderation are the keys to everything. You want to enjoy a variety of foods. You want to be able to have your treats in addition to an awesome diet and eat from all these different food groups, like making sure you're getting enough whole grains and fruits and vegetables and everything to ensure that you're meeting your own nutrient needs. That is important. Also, be aware of portion sizes, because that if you're having double the serving size of ice cream or pretzels or whatever. That's a difference between portions and servings. And then also you want to pay attention to when your body is telling you, hey, I'm hungry. And also when your body is like, I think I'm good, and not overeat. And definitely for number 7, I'd say consult a professional, especially if you have different dietary needs, if you are an elite athlete who needs to really make sure that your nutrition is dialed in. If you have autoimmune issues or digestive issues, get with a registered dietitian nutritionist, because we can provide personalized guidance and support to help you achieve your health goals and get to your fitness goals too. So make informed choices, listen to your body. These are 7 different tips. As I always say, pick one thing, because it's better than not doing anything at all. And if that is changing the amount of alcohol you're drinking or eating out one day less, that's still a movement in the right direction. What kinds of questions do you have though, Ken?
I have one question. Well, actually 2 questions. One question split into 2 parts. If you were to suggest what are your favorite or most nutritious top 3 fruits, and what are your bottom 3 fruits that you would probably stay away from? Do you have that, or is it just preferential, or what?
I would say I could talk about my personal preference, which does also relate to nutrition, of course. Berries in general are one of the best sources of fruits, because you're getting so much fiber, antioxidants, and they're usually lower on the glycemic index, so they're not going to spike your blood sugar and then have you come back down. The fiber helps with that too. And then usually we would say the more tropical fruits, pineapple, mango, bananas, they tend to be higher. They have a higher glycemic index because they usually have less fiber with them. So it's not like I never eat mango or anything like that, but maybe just more berries and more of the lower glycemic fruits, and then less of the higher glycemic fruits in general.
Okay. Thank you.
And if you all have any questions about today's episode, about anything that we've discussed in today's episode, I know we threw a lot of information at you. Please feel free to either leave a takeaway point or a question that you might have. And also, if you have any topic ideas or like things that you'd like us to talk about in the future, feel free to include that. Of course, like and subscribe, and we will see you all next week. Oh, wait, I almost forgot. What do we always say, Ken?
Consistency, Adrienne. What do you say?
I would say pick one thing. Progress is better than perfection, because you're actually going to achieve that.
Excellent.
Sounds good. All right, we'll see you all next week. Take care.
Bye.